What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with UFC 300 main event. As we move closer and closer to the historic UFC 300 card, the MMA community has continued to eagerly discuss potential matchups for the event. While the consensus has been that Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will headline the card, Dana White recently indicated that McGregor wouldn't return until the summer, leading many to wonder what the UFC could have up its sleeve. During a recent episode of the Timbo Sugar Show with guest Ariel Helwani, bantamweight champion Sean O'Malley weighed in, explaining that he thinks anyone besides McGregor would be a disappointment in the headlining slot.
It would be such a disappointment. UFC 300, anyone other than Conor versus Michael Chandler, Conor versus anyone. Conor has to be main event of UFC 300 or I'm not watching. Jokes, I'll watch, but I'll be sad.
As Helwani indicated, in the wake of John Kavanagh's recent appearance on the MMA Hour, the UFC may be pivoting and planning for McGregor to return at UFC 300.
But to me, come on, man. Conor's ready to go. Who knows how many fights he has left in him. He's foaming at the mouth. He's almost begging for a fight. Put him on that damn card.
In what could be a big twist, Dylan Dennis has been eager to sign with the UFC and make his debut on UFC 300 as well. After previously stating on the MMA Hour that he would want to fight either Paddy Pimblett or Tony Ferguson, he has since looked to secure a rematch with Logan Paul in MMA, posting a clip of the two agreeing to run things back in MMA prior to their boxing match while writing, "I kept my part of the deal and you didn't, which shows what kind of character you have. Oh, I forgot, you don't have any. That's why you scammed your fans out of millions and are still fighting not to give it back, even after all that money I made for you. Scumbag." Given the historical significance of the event, it's safe to say that the UFC would likely pull out all the stops. Next up, let's take a look at Dana White worried after Bellator PFL merger. The long-awaited acquisition of Bellator MMA was formally announced on Monday, with the PFL taking ownership of the promotion for a rumored $100 million, according to Sportico.com, despite reported valuations being 5 times that. PFL founder Don Davis broke the news on social media, breaking down just what the acquisition means for the future of MMA, writing, "New MMA global powerhouse PFL MMA acquires Bellator, our fighter roster equal to UFC, both 30% top 25 world-ranked fighters. PFL launch reimagined Bellator International Champions Series. Mega event for fans in 2024. PFL champs versus Bellator champs." Davis also appeared in studio for an appearance on the MMA Hour, where he took aim at UFC CEO Dana White, stating that White's actions over the past few years compared to the past few months are indicative of his thoughts on the acquisition.
Everybody knows Dana well enough that he only dismisses things that worry him, or else he just doesn't comment. He didn't comment on the PFL for 4 years because he wasn't worried. He's commented on the PFL a lot the last 6 months. He's worried.
As Davis went on to explain, 30% of the roster ranked in the top 25 on Fight Matrix is now under the PFL umbrella, equal to the 30% of the UFC's roster ranked in the top 25 on Fight Matrix. With the PFL poised to continue to make waves, Davis wants to leave the door open to a clash between Nate Diaz and Jake Paul in the Smart Cage, despite Diaz showing little interest in the bout.
So I'm just trying to create a canvas that we're open for business. It's like the old Motel 6, we'll leave the light on, right? So I just want to leave the light on, and I want to say, here's 15 million, here's Jake, we have all the infrastructure, PFL, and we're easy to work with. Think, the light's on.
As we approach the new year, one thing is certain, the next few years could very well drastically alter the landscape of the MMA industry. Next up, let's take a look at Sean O'Malley's biggest problem against Chito Vera. In March, Sugar Sean O'Malley and Chito Vera will compete in a highly anticipated rematch several years in the making. In addition to the fight giving O'Malley the chance to make his first successful title defense, it'll also give him the chance to avenge the lone loss on his record. Ahead of the fight in March, top-ranked bantamweight contender Corey Sandhagen spoke to James Lynch in an interview this week, where he broke down the upcoming bantamweight title fight.
I think it's going to be a lot tougher and a lot closer of a fight than I think what most people are probably expecting. Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. Like, I don't think O'Malley's a super durable guy. Like he breaks his hands in fights. He has broken his leg in fights, I think. From what I hear, he's kind of injured a lot of the time, so.
The current odds for the fight, according to DraftKings Sportsbook, have O'Malley sitting as a negative 198 favorite to Vera's plus 164 underdog status. The odds have shifted slightly since opening odds dropped, with O'Malley opening as a negative 220 favorite to Vera's plus 185 underdog status, indicating that the MMA community has remained largely split on the bout since the rematch was announced. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at John McCarthy reacts to UFC mistake. This past weekend, the UFC and veteran referee Mike Beltran caught heat after the fight between Trey Ogden and Nicholas Motta. Late in the third round, Ogden locked up a head and arm triangle, putting Motta in a compromising position. Despite Motta attempting to fight the deep choke, Beltran stopped the fight, with many believing that Ogden had won the fight by submission. When the official result was announced, however, the bout was declared a no contest due to Beltran's error, leaving many fans and Ogden fuming. Veteran referee Big John McCarthy shared his thoughts on the situation during a recent episode of his Weighing In podcast with Josh Thompson, pointing to Beltran's brown belt in jiu-jitsu.
He's in a position where he knows the choke. He's a brown belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. He's been in that choke. Trust me, he's a big, heavy guy. That's one of his chokes. Okay? When he sees the choke, he sees it going in. The one thing that people on the outside, both commentators, people in the stands, people watching on TV, the one thing that you don't get that he gets is the gurgle. He's hearing the gurgle go on, and he's asking the guy, show me you're there, and he's getting no response off of it.
As McCarthy went on to explain, many athletic commissions would rather a referee stop the fight too early than too late, further complicating the already tricky situation on Saturday night. Next, let's take a look at Jan Blachowicz breaks silence on RANT. Following Alex Pereira's win over Jiří Procházka, former light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz seemed to go on an uncharacteristic rant on social media, ripping Poatan while dubbing his call-out of Israel Adesanya as pathetic. While many questioned whether Blachowicz's manager or someone close to him had gotten a hold of the account and decided to stir the pot, that doesn't appear to be the case. During a recent interview with James Lynch, Blachowicz weighed in on the situation.
I wasn't surprised about the results, but I was surprised what he said about after the fight. Then he go out easy again, I said, no, I can't believe it. One more time, come on, give me a break, You've got some business to do with me here because I believe that I won our fight. So first of all, me, and after that you can do what you want to do.
While Blachowicz's post-fight shot was scathing, he praised Pereira during the interview with James Lynch for a, quote, great performance and a great win over Procházka. With the former champ eager to get back into title contention, it'll be interesting to see if he and Pereira share the octagon again in the future. Next, let's take a look at Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury rematch. Heading into Francis Ngannou's fight with Tyson Fury, there was a rematch clause in place that meant if the Predator won, Fury would be entitled to a rematch. Since the Gypsy King controversially won the fight, Ngannou has since looked ahead to other matchups while Fury looks ahead to a clash with Alexander Usyk. Despite that, Queensberry Promotions founder Frank Warren, who promotes Fury, recently revealed on the MMA Hour that a rematch between the two is likely to happen down the line, despite there being no contractual obligation.
Let's get the big one out of the way first, and then we'll see where we go with it. But I do think Tyson told me that he wants the rematch, and I know Ngannou wants it. I mean, because when we was after the fight, we were out there. We met at His Excellency's house, and we had quite a lengthy conversation.
In the wake of the bout, Saudi Arabia reportedly offered Ngannou another fight. However, from the sounds of things, the Predator plans on taking his talents back to the cage. As PFL founder Don Davis explained on the MMA Hour, the most likely scenario is a mixed rules bout between Ngannou and Deontay Wilder.
Other than he will fight with PFL in 2024. We don't know if it's first or last quarter. And I still think that it will be a mixed rules fight. And I still think Deontay Wilder is the most likely opponent.
With Ngannou's star power at an all-time high after taking Fury to a decision, the Predator's next move will certainly generate tons of interest. Next, let's take a look at MMA community goes off on Khamzat Chimaev. The MMA community wasn't too pleased to see Khamzat Chimaev calling out Alex Pereira after Poatan's light heavyweight title win over Jiří Procházka at UFC 295. This week, Chimaev took aim at Pereira on social media, posting a picture of he and the Glory Kickboxing Hall of Famer while writing, "Dana White, let me finish him." The call-out didn't go over well with fans, many of whom were quick to take aim at Boers. One fan wrote, "For the love of Christ, please just stay in one division," while another quipped back, "Bruh, you couldn't finish Usman with no training camp, don't talk." Two fans were quick to reference Chimaev's recent decision win over Usman, with one writing, "You haven't smashed anyone in forever, kid," and the other agreeing, writing, "Bro couldn't even finish a 170er coming off the couch on 10 days notice." Given the weight difference between the two, another fan concluded that a flush left hook would spell trouble for Chimaev, writing, "You're going to sleep if that left hook connects your chin." Another wrote, "LMAO, once upon a time, I'd have believed Khamzat had a chance against Poatan. Not anymore." Although Pereira previously held UFC gold at middleweight, he seems unlikely to return to 185 pounds anytime soon, meaning any chance of the fight happening would likely see Chimaev move up in weight. Top comments: I don't think Tom was even shedding tears for the belt. I think it was because he just mopped the floor with the division's scariest guy and made it look easy. Tom doesn't really know how good he is yet. Nobody does. Ian Gary is really showing why he hasn't found a gym to call his home and why no fighter has got his back. I think Khamzat's stock drops every time he fights and wins by decision. Miocic hasn't fought for so long, he missed 2 Venom kit changes. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.